I just got a text. That was funny. Hello, everyone. Welcome. My, phone holder thingy is broken. So this is a little different. I'm just leaning my phone on the thing. So whatever. It's kind of awkward because I feel like I'm looking down on you. Do you feel like I'm looking down on you? Hey, Mar Rosa. What up? Welcome. If you're new to my streams, I'm Sam. I do Q&As like every single time. So if you want to hang out, ask me some questions. I do my best to answer every single question I get. And what I'm going to be talking about is something called phase 2. That's what I always talk about because it's what I talk about on social media. And phase 2 is a methodology for living your life. This is extremely uncomfortable. I might have to pause for a second and figure something else out because looking down is driving me crazy. Okay. Am I going to just deal with it? Oh, I know why it's driving me crazy. I'm like, what is wrong with this? There's this little box at the top of my screen that's right where my hairline is, and it makes me feel like my forehead is just gigantic. So if I sit back a little bit, okay, that's better. That was really funny. I'm like, why do I look so wonky? Hilarious. Okay. Anyway, phase 2. Phase 2 is a methodology for living your life. And I learned it from my fiance, Andre, how to manifest fast. Okay, here's the thing. I appreciate your question, Black, and I'm going to answer it. Manifestation, like mainstream manifestation, which you're asking me about, and phase 2 are two completely different things. I don't teach people how to manifest, although technically you could say, yeah, you do teach people how to manifest. No, I think they're two different things because manifestation, mainstream manifestation is so fucking confusing. It is inconsistent, confusing, complicated. It makes you feel like you're never good enough because you're always healing. And also it's just so ridiculous. Just straight up, to be completely honest, it's so ridiculous. I'm moving. I'm getting out of this chair. Okay. Ugh. Leaning forward like that was not good. All right. Yeah, so I don't teach people how to manifest. I teach them how to create their experience, knowing that they are the creator of their entire experience. That's another completely different thing from mainstream manifesting. Because with mainstream manifesting, if someone were to say, oh yeah, you even created the shit that you don't like about your life, people would have a fit. But the fact that people have a fit when you say that is why they can't create their experience. Oh God, please leave the Jesus stuff out of here. I'm not interested. Fuck off. Thank you. How to manifest fast. I'm settling in right now and being so disrespectful, but it's fine because it's my experience. You can get mad if you want. So let me answer your question now that I've kind of laid that out. How to manifest fast. First of all, fast is a judgment and an expectation. Things can be created at completely illogical speeds and rates if you let go of the idea, first of all, that there is any time, and if you let go of logic. So let me reiterate that. Things can change in your experience so quickly, faster than you could even imagine. But there's two things that are stopping that from happening, and it's your logic, which tells you, no, it can't happen that fast, and your belief that linear time is real. It's not real, it's an illusion. With that in mind, when you allow yourself to have any experience, because you are the ultimate creator of your reality and you are creating every single detail of your life down to the smallest little piece, when you have that in mind, allowing yourself to have a different experience is as simple as just dropping the stories that suggest you can't have that experience. So I don't know what exactly you're asking me about, Black, but whatever you're telling yourself that suggests you can't have it fast is what you need to stop telling yourself. And then you have to open yourself to the experience. So one thing that you can do, and if anyone else has a different question, feel free to put them in the chat. I've kind of been talking a lot for the last few minutes, but this is a Q&A. And if you just popped in, I'm Sam. I teach something called phase 2. It is this phenomenal methodology for living life that's better than mainstream manifestation. It's what wealthy people actually use. No lie, it's the truth. Because we actually learned this from somebody who was extremely wealthy, and it was passed down from people like that. Want to go shopping at a farmer's market with me sometime? That depends. Where do you live? I did say phase 2, Clarity by Jackie. Yes, phase 2. What was I saying earlier? Shit. Manifest a fast because it's hard to fast. Oh, you mean like manifest like fasting? Oh, manifest fasting? Manifest fasting. How do you manifest fasting? Well, I hate the word manifest. How do you create yourself fasting? Drop the story that it's hard. Even you said in your comment there, Dinesh, that it's difficult to fast. Well, if you're an unlimited being having a limited experience, you're unlimited, but you've convinced yourself that you're limited. So technically nothing is difficult. You created your own difficulty. And when you stop telling yourself that something is hard, that's when it becomes simple and effortless and even easy. Yeah, so start there. Those are the stories that I was talking about. From Irvine. I'm from Scottsdale, Arizona. So like one state over. So if I were to go to a farmer's market with you, it would probably involve like a good 6 or 8 hour drive for me, which is not a weekend trip. Or maybe it is. No, it's not. I would not drive 8 hours on a Friday and then 8 hours on a Sunday. That's hilarious. Your whole fam lives in Scottsdale? I don't know what is going on with this, but it is like a lot. Okay, it's fine. You are an unlimited being, Dinesh. Yes, you are. That's the like fundamental basis of phase 2. Is that redundant? Fundamental basis? I think so. It's the basis of phase 2. Okay, good question, Lepslair. Should we just start saying it's easy instead of saying it's hard? No. Here's another huge difference between mainstream manifesting and phase 2. In mainstream manifesting, you have what's called affirmations, which are essentially like trying to convince yourself of something else that you've been struggling with. So for example, if you believe that money is hard to make, with mainstream manifesting, you would affirm money is easy to make, I receive money effortlessly, blah, blah, blah. The thing about that is it doesn't work. Like, since we're unlimited beings having a limited experience, there's no reason it should take like any amount of time for something to shift. The reason it takes so long with affirmations is because you're trying to convince yourself of something else instead of just dropping the original story entirely. So if we take something being hard, for example, you don't replace that story with, oh, this is easy. You just stop saying it's hard. It's that simple. You just stop saying it's hard. Right? So when you stop saying something's hard and you allow it to be easy without having to say it, you don't have to physically or verbally say, this is easy for me. You just allow it to be easy. You allow the experience to be easy. You're going to get inspiration from your intuition. You're going to get guidance. You're going to shift your perspective on the experience, and it's going to actually seem easier and be easier, right? Because you're not telling yourself the story that it has to be hard, and you're also not trying to convince yourself that it's easy. There's a very subtle difference, but it's super key. Is everyone following? Yeah. Is everyone following so far? Yes, it creates an alternate illusion. Yes, that's exactly right. It's all an illusion. Whether it's difficult or easy, it's still an illusion. But the fact that it's an illusion is what allows you to be able to change anything and create anything, because it's all an illusion. In phase 2, you should neutralize your feeling. No, that is another misconception. In phase 2, your feelings are like the holy grail. In phase 2, the worst possible thing you can do, and that's a judgment. There's really nothing bad, but stick with me for a second. Neutralizing or ignoring or numbing your feelings in phase 2 is what causes you to stay in phase 1. It's what causes you to struggle. It's what causes you to keep doing things that you don't like, because that's how you know what you like and you don't like. One thing makes you feel good and one thing makes you feel like shit. And if you're not feeling your feelings, you're just going by your logical mind, which is telling you, oh yeah, you have to keep working this job, or you have to keep doing this thing for the money or for the result. You're going to keep doing it even though it's not your path. And you can tell what's your path by your feelings, right? So, yeah. Thank you, Madame Ash commentary. That is so sweet. I appreciate that. That's very kind of you. Hello, Raven. Okay. Let me catch up on some comments here. Did I go to school for this knowledge? No, I did not. It's actually a really funny story. Hold on, let me catch up. Where did it go? The One Bobster. I did not go to school for this. I don't think there is a school for this. Phase 2 teachings are actually really old. They've been around since Japan, like 12th or 13th century Japan, like almost 1,000 years old. There's a book called Shobogenzo that kind of explains the whole thing. And my fiance, Andre, learned all this stuff from somebody named Peter, who was his mentor. And if any of you have read my book or our book, Quantum Networking, you know this whole story. So Peter learned it from his mentor, Kevin. So it's kind of been passed down in this chain of mentors to mentees. And Andre, I don't want to say he was lucky because he created himself having that experience, but I guess he kind of was lucky because it's really, really cool. And now we get to teach it to other people. Yeah. Peter was he's dead now, unfortunately, but his life is just like, wow. And you can read all about it in our ebook, Quantum Networking. It's available via the link in my bio. Okay. Hey, Adele. What's up? Beautiful DC. What do you do personally when you feel a negative feeling? Okay. I acknowledge that we all created mainstream manifesting. And if it sounds like I have beef with mainstream manifesting, it's because I do. I need everyone to listen very carefully to this. And this is a really good question, beautiful. I'm not like bashing you or anything, but this is super important and I need everyone to hear this, okay? There is no such thing as negative or positive feelings. There is no such thing. There is just energy. Our emotions, our feelings are all just energy experienced in different circumstances and with different stories. In other words, the energy of feeling happy is the same energy of feeling angry or sad, just with different circumstances and stories attached to it. So when you feel a negative feeling, first of all, you're judging that. You're judging that feeling as negative, and judgments are always limitations. Always. Always. People are constantly asking, what do I do with negative feelings? How do I get rid of it? Well, like I just said, your feelings are your guide. So if you feel like shit, getting rid of it is like the worst thing you could possibly do because it's trying to tell you something, right? So if you get rid of the idea that there are positive and negative feelings, what you're left with is just energy, neutral energy. Stop telling the stories, meaning stop thinking about why you're upset or why you're mad or whatever is going on. Stop thinking about that and just feel it. Just feel that energy in your body. It can be really intense sometimes. It can be a little overwhelming, but if you eliminate the thoughts and stories associated with it, it's so much easier to handle. I always tell people a really good exercise that you should do, if not every day, as often as you can, is just to lay down and feel what's going on inside you without thinking. Just lay down, relax, breathe, and allow the energy to move, and it will move. You will feel it. And in doing that, what's happening is you're kind of just letting it move. And when you let it move, you create space for new experiences to happen. So the more you try to ignore or push away or change your negative feelings, the more you're just staying stuck with whatever you've got going on. That's why some people can live their entire fucking life having the same experiences over and over and over and over and over and over again because they never let that energy flow. They keep pushing it away, keep pushing it away, keep pushing it away, and it keeps coming back over and over again. When you let the energy move, the energy that's associated with a particular experience, because it's the energy that creates the experience, not the other way around. It is not the experience that creates the energy, it's the energy that creates the experience. When you let that energy move, it just stops creating that experience. It's that simple. You don't have to do anything else. That's how powerful you are. But mainstream manifesting would never teach you that. Yeah. Okay, let me catch up on some questions here. So yes, thank you. Hi, Christopher. Can you quickly explain the phases? I just joined. Hey, Elma. Yes, I can explain the phases. So everyone here and everyone you know is in phase one right now. Phase one is like normal. It's like the normal human experience that everybody has. Everyone starts out in phase one, which is good news because you can go from phase one to phase two. You don't have to go through phase one and then into phase two. You just go right to phase two. Good news, right? Phase two is like, I don't know if you play video games ever, but phase two is like playing a video game on freestyle mode. You have unlimited everything. You can create anything. There's no rules. You can do whatever you want, literally. That is possible for your life here on Earth. However, it's kind of a kick in the nuts for people because getting into phase two requires that you accept that you created everything, literally everything. People struggle with that because of victim complexes, victim mentality, victim mindset, whatever you want to call it. But if you can let go of that and accept that you're responsible for literally everything that has ever happened to you, bar none, literally everything, that is how you can access your infinite, limitless creative ability. That's phase one and phase two. What is the best way to start phase two? Escape Tanner. That's funny. The best way to start phase two. Well, there's no best way. Best is a judgment. There's just ways. Okay. I would say the way to start phase two, this is going to be fun. One way to get into phase two is to appreciate yourself, which is more often than not. In fact, I would say 99% of the time, something people have literally never done before in their entire life. Self-appreciation is not the same thing as self-love. They're different. Self-appreciation is expansive. Self-love is like static, meaning it doesn't change. You either love yourself or you don't. Self-appreciation is constantly growing. You are constantly expanding on it every single day. What that means is you are giving yourself happiness every single day. You're also giving other people happiness every single day. Because it's not just you, it's appreciating everything you've created, including the other people, because you created everyone you know, creating or experiencing and appreciating your environment, your job, everything you've created, bring appreciation to that. And that's not the same as gratitude either. But if you can practice that, if you can, one, acknowledge that you're responsible for creating everything, and two, be happy, like allow yourself to actually be happy instead of trying to fit in with other people and cutting off your happiness and complaining just so that you don't offend other people, it'll make a huge difference in your life really fucking fast. The other thing about self-appreciation is it is fundamental to changing your money experience. Yeah. If you're broke, it's because you don't appreciate yourself. And there's a million fucking ways that I can explain this, but I'm just going to leave it at that and move on to another question. Spazzy Monkey, hello. Girl, I have to tell you, watching you talk about phase two a month ago changed my life instantly. It's fast. This shit changes so quickly. And I think that's really funny because people think it takes a long time for their life to change, but when they start learning about phase two from like nothing, that just pops up, things shift really fast because they have no concept of how long it should take, right? It's like completely out of the blue. Suddenly everything changes. Wow, what the fuck is going on? Well, what's going on is you started learning about something that you were supposed to learn about and you had no preconceived notions about. So I'm really glad to hear that. Thank you. That makes me so happy, Spazzy Monkey. All right, that's a lot of comments here. All right. Oop. Have you thought through the implications of what you believe? Obviously, I have. And I'm sure you're like scandalized right now, Bruce Moore, but whatever you're thinking, yeah, you created that too. And I know what that sounds like, but that's where your power lies. The more things you believe you're a victim of and the more things you think you can't change, the less power you have. It's very simple math. So, I mean, have you thought through the implications of what you believe? Anyway. Crazy. Oh, wow. Coach Camille Louise is offended. That's hilarious. Okay. Let's see. Who else has a good question? Listening. In phase two, just do whatever you want to do and what makes you happy. Yeah, that's literally what it is. Do what you want to do what makes you happy, and the money, the connections, everything, everything that will support you will be there for you because you're allowing it to happen instead of trying to force it. Everyone who's working a job that they hate is doing it because they think it's going to support them. They think that money comes from their job. They think that security comes from having a job. No, that's just you buying into phase one concepts, thinking that you're not the creator of your experience. If you are the creator of your experience, which you are, there's no reason for you to have to work a job that you hate just to have money because you create your own money. This is why in phase two, you can have literally any job, any career, you can do anything you want, and there will always be everything you need to support you available to you because you create it. Yeah, anyway. Thank you. I got these, it's Mooncat. I just got like 4 different colors and I put them all on at once. So thanks. All right. How could energy create your experience? Well, this is a fundamental, this is like very fundamental quantum mechanics type stuff. So I'm not going to explain all the details because I'm not a scientist. But if you notice, and literally all of you can do this right now, look at your experience around you and observe your emotional reaction to the things you have. You'll notice that everything that happens to you is what you react to emotionally. In other words, if something were to happen to you that you had no reaction to, either that thing wouldn't happen again or it would never happen in the first place because you're not putting any energy into it. So people who are constantly having experiences like car accidents or not having enough money or any sort of problems like that, those things keep happening because they react to it emotionally every single time. And it's that emotional reaction that creates that like chain reaction that keeps it happening. So what you need to do is take your emotional reaction away from it. You have to take that back. You have to stop telling the stories and let go of all the shit that's like causing you to keep reacting to it. And when you can stop reacting, it stops happening. It's your responsibility and it's all in your control. So it's kind of hard to accept for people. That's one of the biggest challenges to getting into phase two, but you can actually witness this and experience it for yourself. Whew. All right. You mean let the energy move as in move away from yourself? No, I mean move within you. Like the energy moves in your body. It's just there. There is no outside of you. It's not moving away from you because there is no away from you. All of this is an illusion. All right. I literally just read this a minute ago in my reading of Rich as Fuck book. Yeah, exactly. There you go. Bar none just means like, that's it. What are we talking about? We're talking about phase two. Hey everybody, what's up 25AC? If you can't accept that you create your experience, literally everything, then you should probably just leave my stream right now because this is going to be really hard for you to listen to. Okay. All right. Who else has a question? When will the second book come out? Oh, it's already out. Hey, Manifest with Mary Sims. Good to see you. Yeah, Quantum Cash, the second book, is already out. So that's available via the link in my bio. Just tap the top button, and then at the bottom of that page, you'll see options for getting both of the books, or one or the other. Femina Thriving. How does this work with trying to create a weight loss business? Great question. So I'm assuming you're asking about how does phase two work with trying to create a weight loss business? So in phase two, when you take your power back and you stop telling the story, take your power back, meaning you stop putting your emotional energy into like limiting yourself and you stop telling the stories about whether or not you can get clients, it being difficult to get clients. On an essential level, when you stop telling the stories and you stop reacting emotionally to things that limit you, you can create infinite clients. You can create infinite scalability in your business. You can create infinite money flow. That's how it works. It's very simple. It works with anything. Yeah. That's why I said, from a phase two perspective, it doesn't matter what job or business or career you have in phase two because the money will be there to support you because you create the sources through which money comes to you. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's always just like appearing out of thin air. Sometimes that does actually happen. But most of the time, what you're actually creating is clients, or you're creating sales, or you're creating someone hiring you. You're not creating like physical money, because there is no physical money. It's not real. You've only ever seen a representation of money. You've never seen money itself. This is why in the world today, like, there are actually lots of places that don't take cash because money was never real in the first place. Anyway, that's a totally different topic. Hopefully that answers your question. Okay, let's see. Start doing what your intuition says. All right, I'm just gonna like block you, because if you're gonna be a bitch, then you can fuck off. Anyway, everything of today was created in the past. Okay, there is no past. Linear time is an illusion. I know, but where am I supposed to get money? I know it's part of the matrix, but without that, okay, here's the thing. Barris, your understanding of the matrix is the problem here. The matrix is not something outside of you. The matrix is your beliefs. So everyone has their own matrix. Everyone's matrix is different. Whatever you believe, whatever stories you tell yourself, create your matrix. This is why I say when you just stop telling the stories, you can create something else. Because telling a different story is just creating more of a matrix. Yeah, so with that in mind, money is a byproduct of aligned action. So that means whatever you do, whatever career you have, whatever you sell, or literally whatever you like to do in your life, when you do that to do it, you do it to experience doing it instead of doing it to make money. Money flows. But this is why everyone struggles with money, because they're always doing shit to make money. That's not aligned. That is you doing one thing to get a different experience, which that's alignment. It has nothing to do with frequency. I know people say that alignment is about frequency, but that's like, what? Like confusing as shit. How? Anyway, I'm gonna get on a soapbox. Yeah. Let's see. Emotions guide you. Yes, emotions do guide you. It's not your logical mind. In phase 1, your logical mind tells you what you should do. Logic is replicable. It's programmable. You can learn it from other people. You look at what other people are doing and you replicate their behavior. And usually it doesn't work out for you. But when you follow your feelings and you follow what feels good to you and what's exciting and what's interesting instead of just doing what other people are doing, that's what creates your experience. That's phase 2. Okay. All right. Is it possible that we block ourselves from self-appreciation? And can we do the statements meditation? Well, yes, it is possible that you block yourself from self-appreciation. However, I don't like the term block. What's really happening is you just don't want to appreciate yourself. Okay, let me drop like a truth bomb right here. There is no... People use the phrase like block. Oh, I have a block. I'm blocking myself. I have a block. I'm blocking whatever. They say that because they don't want to admit that they just don't want the thing. As much as you may think you want money, if you don't have money, it's because you don't actually want that experience. You'd rather complain about money. You'd rather struggle, because without the struggle, who are you? No, think about that for a real minute. Like, if you had no struggle, if nothing was difficult for you, who would you be? Who would you be? Would you know who you are? Would you be comfortable with yourself? Would you be comfortable with other people, knowing that you're someone who just doesn't struggle? This is why people choose the struggle. This is why people maintain their struggle when they don't have to. Because without it, they don't even know who they are. Yeah. All right. Yes, knowing who you are. The struggle makes up people's entire like self-identity, to the point where they think they want something else, like money or freedom or whatever. But if they had those things, they wouldn't have the struggle anymore. So the question, do we block ourselves from appreciating ourselves? The answer is no, you don't block yourself, you just choose not to. That's it. You're just not wanting to appreciate yourself. And accepting that and acknowledging that you simply don't want to is how you change anything. You simply don't want it. And that's why you're not doing it or why you don't have it. You'd rather have the thing you already have. That's okay. Don't judge yourself for that. Don't judge yourself for that. The worst thing you could possibly do is judge yourself for what you're creating. Yeah, it's a lot, but I think it's clicking for some people here. I just saw some comments about it clicking. Yeah, that's how it works. All right. Someone asked about the books. The books are $22 American each. However, today I'm running a sale. A 24-hour sale only. It ends tomorrow at noon, and you can use the code YAY, like YAY 24, all one word, YAY 24, to save 20%. So you get like $4 off. But yeah, check out the books. They're really good, if I do say so myself, and they've gotten phenomenal reviews. And if you just go to the link in my bio, you'll see the button there. Solitary. Have you noticed a difference between doing things that feel good as addictions versus self-appreciation? That's an interesting question. I can say that sometimes we do things that feel good to avoid feeling our feelings. And that's what I would define as like an addiction. I don't think that it's necessarily like a medical addiction when it comes to doing things that feel good, but we get into doing things to do them to not feel our feelings. Does that make sense? And then self-appreciation is doing the thing and also feeling your feelings. Very key distinction there. Like, I love to eat food, and I know that when I'm eating food and I'm not hungry, it's because I'm avoiding feeling something. So is that an addiction? I wouldn't say it's necessarily an addiction. I think that's a little bit too strong of a word. It's more of a matter of awareness or the lack thereof. All right. That key distinction was insane. You're welcome. The code isn't working for me. What, yay 24? Are you spelling it right? And is it all caps? Let's see. I just got them. Oh, thanks. If anyone just checked out my books, thank you. I appreciate that. I can't wait to hear what you think. And you can all follow me on Instagram too. I respond to a lot of comments over there, and I post a lot of content too. So I've kind of not posted a lot of TikTok lately, or a lot on TikTok rather lately. But if you go to my Instagram, you'll see a lot more. All right. Okay. Shouldn't you take responsibility for everything? Yes, you should. Yeah. Shay off. Paxalaxis 1. What are some tips on overcoming this mindset? Like, would journaling work? What mindset? Let's see. I'm not sure what mindset you're talking about, Paxalaxis. What's the topic? The topic is phase 2, which is a methodology for living your life. That's kind of like an alternative to mainstream manifestation. Journaling. Well, there's a couple things I can say about your question, Paxalaxis, without knowing exactly what you're referring to. It's not about your mindset. Now, this is going to be like super controversial because there's so many mindset people. Like, people think mindset is like the holy fucking grail. Oh, like your mindset informs how you feel. No. Your feelings are independent of your mindset. Your mindset is just the stories that you attach to your feelings, right? Okay, so with that in mind, if you drop all the stories, mindset becomes completely fucking irrelevant because you're not supposed to replace the stories with different stories. I know, people are going to be like, oh, what? No, mindset. No. Like I said, this is different. So if you've been doing things and it's not working for you very well, may I introduce you to phase 2? And if you're going to, play in phase 2, you need to be open to changing things that you previously accepted or dropping things that you previously accepted. So journaling falls into that. Is journaling a good thing to do? Absolutely. But if you're going to journal, journal to journal. Don't journal to get a different result because that's out of alignment. A lot of people journal because they want inspiration, or they journal because they want to heal. That's not aligned. You journal to journal, and then the inspiration and the healing, or whatever whatever you think could be a byproduct of that, happens effortlessly as a byproduct of your aligned action. So if you journal to get inspiration, you're not going to get inspiration. If you journal to journal, you get to enjoy the experience of journaling and get inspiration effortlessly. Whew, okay. I've never read an ebook. Shandy Fitzsimmons. Good question. Thank you for asking. So the platform that the ebooks are hosted on is called Gumroad. So you'll just open it as a PDF in your phone or on your laptop or whatever device you use. I think that was weird. I think you can also use Kindle. However, both of my ebooks come with audiobooks too. So if you don't want to read it all on your device, you can just listen to it. The ebooks are 130 pages long, and they come with a 2.5 hour long audiobook. So it's a significant chunk of inspiration. It's a significant chunk of information. Yeah, so that's why I include the audiobook, because it's a lot to read on a device. All right. Okay, mindset. It's what I hear all the time. I know. The funny thing about that, though, is we all created mindset to confuse ourselves. Remember, we all created everything. So if you're seeing people talk about mindset, that's something you created to confuse yourself. And confusion is where your power is hidden. When you're confused, you're not in your power. But the way to get past that is to accept the experience of confusion. You don't have to figure it out. You don't have to try to change it. You don't have to get to the bottom of it. You just feel the feelings associated with the confusion and allow it to exist. And when you do that, it goes away effortlessly. Yeah. So. Okay. Are relationships different in phase 2? Kitra 13. Sort of. I'm not sure I know what you're asking. The discount code Femina Thriving is YAY24. YAY24, all one word. 24 is the number 24. YAY24. So Kitra 13, are relationships different in phase 2? In some ways, yes. In phase 2, a really kind of fundamental thing is that everyone in your experience serves one of 3 purposes. That's to reflect something back to you. It's to make you aware of something about yourself, or to guide you or support you in some way. So this is why we meet the people we meet. It's because they're not random. They're supposed to serve a purpose on our experience. And we serve the same purposes in other people's experiences. It all works together like the cogs in a watch. So that's pretty cool. With that in mind, from a phase 2 perspective, you can look at the relationships you have and kind of see what purpose the people in your life are serving for you. And that's kind of fun. It's really interesting. The other thing about relationships in phase 2, which can be a little bit of a learning curve, is that people behave exactly how you expect them to behave. Meaning, you're also responsible for other people's behavior because that's how you perceive them. I know, people are going to be like, oh, victim blaming. Oh my God, victim blaming. Okay, again, that's why you're not creating your experience, or why you don't have the power you want to have, because of the victim mindset that you have. So, tangled hierarchy, exactly. Yes, the amazing soul, precisely. Menina, what to do when you find yourself spiraling in your head? And if I'm missing anyone's questions, sorry, there's a lot of them. I'm just kind of jumping around. My bad. What to do when you find yourself spiraling in your head? Don't judge it. Don't judge it. Again, judging is the worst thing you can do, because when you judge something, you're putting an emotional investment, or you're investing your emotional energy into that thing, which causes it to keep happening. So if you're spiraling in your head and you're feeling like crazy, first of all, turn off the stories and just feel. So you can feel the energy moving in your body, especially if you lay down and relax. You will feel it. You may want to cry. You may want to like flail your arms around like crazy. There's going to be energy moving. But the important thing is to turn off the stories, meaning stop thinking. Like, just don't pay attention to the thoughts. Alternatively, you can pay attention to the thoughts, but don't add like energy or meaning to them. The problem comes up with thoughts when you like attach yourself to one of them and you decide it's true. If you just watch your thoughts go by, kind of like a train passing in front of you or clouds drifting in front of you, that's okay. Like if it's difficult for you to turn off your thoughts, that's an alternative. Just don't like cling on or attach to any of them. Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah. Whew, you're welcome, Gigi Ha. Aw, Menina, that is so sweet. I'm glad you like it. I love having short hair. It's so fun. So fun. The discount codes for everything are the same. Why are you the face of the program but Andre's in all the vids? Because I'm the face of the social media and he's like the face in the community. So yeah, we kind of have equal participation in this whole gig. I just do the social media thing and he does the community thing. So you may notice that I'm the face in all my videos on TikTok and Instagram. So yeah. And it's also like, this is kind of his information, right? So he learned all this from his mentor, Peter, and then he taught me. So he actually has a lot more experience with phase 2 than I do, but I've been in it for a little while and I can definitely talk about it. Which is cool for me because it's nice to finally be on the same page as him. It took me like 3 years to accept what he was trying to teach me. All right. Dude, you're welcome. Let's see. I've never read an ebook. Let's see. Did somebody... How am I supposed to change my reality when I'm dealing with it for years? Well, the good news is you've been creating it for years. So that's how you change it. You acknowledge that you created it. I like to put it this way. How can you possibly, like think about this for a second. How can you possibly create your entire experience, but simultaneously be a victim of anything, right? Those two experiences are mutually exclusive. You're either one or the other. You either create everything or you're a victim, right? You don't get to pick and choose what you create and what you're a victim of. And that is another fundamental fucking problem I have with mainstream manifestation, because they very much teach it, very much shy away from telling people that they create everything. And they kind of make it sound like you get to create things you want, but the things you don't want or don't like aren't your fault. Oh, it's not your fault. You know, you're fine. Like, whatever. Yeah. So again, like I described earlier, the things that keep happening to you are the things that you're emotionally invested in, the things that you have a reaction to every single time they happen. That's like it. It is that simple. So when you stop telling yourself the story about it, all the stories, you just stop telling them. You drop them like a pen. You just stop telling them. And you remove your emotional response and you accept that it's okay. Because those two go together. When you remove your emotional response, that's you basically saying, you know what? I'm doing this. It's all right. It doesn't mean anything about me. It's just an experience. I don't have to get upset about it. I'm choosing to get upset about it. It's all good in the hood. It's fine. When you can do those two things, it stops happening. I've just given you all the sauce for creating your experience, right? So whatever it is you're struggling with, like let's say, for example, your bank account goes back to 0 every single month because you're spending all your money on your bills. If every single month you're like, this fucking sucks, this is such bullshit, why can I never get ahead? I hate my fucking life, this is so garbage, my employer doesn't pay me enough. First of all, those are all stories, and you can hear the emotion behind it. So stop telling the stories. Tell your ego to go fuck itself. But you are your ego, so it's not your ego's fault. You're that too, right? Stop telling the stories. Acknowledge that you are creating the experience. And this takes feeling. This takes a lot of like that's the work. You know, letting yourself feel those feelings, the feelings that you've been stuffing down for so long. When you can do those two things, the experience changes effortlessly. And I can say this from personal experience. All right. Love the reel. Thanks. All right. Hello, regards from Peru. Peru. Fidelo Cu. Peru is one of my favorite countries. I've been there twice. I love Peru. And the food there is just like the best in the world. I love Peruvian food. That's so funny. So I always get excited when someone from Peru follows me. You don't change the feeling getting social with Jess. You don't change the feeling. You just stop feeling. Just, how can I describe this differently? It's kind of tough to like explain, but what I want you to do, Jess, and do this exercise either right now or later on today, go lay down somewhere comfortable, take a few minutes to yourself, 5-10 minutes, however long you can, lay down, relax, and just let the energy come up in your body. You will feel tingles, you'll feel shifting. It might be subtle at first. You can even say to yourself, I'm open to allowing myself to feel what I need to feel. I'm open to allowing myself to feel what I need to feel. And things will start moving. So when things start moving, just allow it to move. And that is you feeling the energy. And when you could recognize, oh, this energy is coming up inside me, you also know when you have emotion attached to something because it'll feel the same, right? So letting go or changing or dropping the feelings to change the experience is a matter of literally feeling the feelings until the experience is essentially boring. Because you keep reacting to it because it's not boring. Yeah. It's kind of weird to hear it that way, especially for the first time. But the things that keep happening to you, especially things that you don't like, are interesting to you. That's why you're invested in them. They're catching your attention. So when you feel the energy to the point where you're just like, is this it? Like, come on, can we be done now? That's when you're done. Does that make sense? Like, this is a very important point. Does that make sense? You just got to get to the point where you're like, can we be done? You feel the energy, you let it move, you keep it up, you don't judge it, you allow it to go, you don't tell the stories, and eventually, much quicker than you think, you'll get to a point where you're like, okay, I think I've had enough. I think I'm good now. We're good. Enough with that. I'm ready for a new experience. I'm open to experiencing something new. It does, yes. Okay, good. Yeah. I just get stressed about money. Yes. Well, the stress comes from the stories you're telling yourself. Like I described earlier, Jess, the emotion you feel when you think about stress is the same energy as anything else. The same energy as happiness, but you're telling stories that reflect stress. And you're experiencing circumstances that reflect stress. So the stress is just the emotion, the energy, with the stories. So you stop telling the stories, you feel that neutral energy. Now that you're not telling the stories, it's just energy, to the point where it gets boring. That's it. It's really fun. Candy, okay. The 3 people. Can you talk more about how and what they do? Hey, Fiery Fable. What's up? Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're welcome, Nikki Nix. I'm happy to hear that. This is what I do best. I give people breakthroughs. Hey, Renaissance Redhead. Okay, Candy, okay. I think what you're asking about are the 3 purposes that people serve. So the first purpose that anyone serves, and people often serve more than one. So keep that in mind. It's not just one. Sometimes it's 1, 2, or 3 purposes, all in one person, are reflecting something back to you, meaning showing you something that you're judging or showing you something that you don't like about yourself, but they're doing it and you think you just don't like it about them. The other one is teaching, what is it? Reflection. Shit. I always forget this one. The other one is like guidance and support, which is pretty like self-explanatory. Somebody gives you an opportunity, somebody comes to you with something, somebody puts a piece in motion for you, self-explanatory. And the third one is, I think it's like teaching you something about yourself you didn't know before. So like that's me, for example, with all of you. You all created me to tell you this stuff because you're supposed to hear it. It's part of your life experience. You created me to present this information to you. Yeah, I think that's the second one. Andre explains these things a little bit better than I do. All right. How do you stop feeling when past trauma is involved? It's the same process as anything else. Just stop telling the stories and acknowledge that it's just neutral energy, and just feel it until you get bored of it. Here's the thing. People never get bored. Like the way I'm describing getting bored, people seem to never get bored because they never stop telling the stories. If the story gets you upset every time you tell it, like for example, the story of being a victim is something that typically makes people upset every time they tell it. Like for me, I used to get really upset about my parents like failing me. Oh, my parents did such a shitty job when they fucking raised me. Like my life is their fault. If they had just been better, I wouldn't be in this position right now. That's the story that I kept repeating to myself, which caused me to never get bored of that experience. So when you stop telling the story and you're left with the energy, you will eventually get bored of that particular energy, that experience. Yeah. I used to blame my parents too. Yeah. They're an easy target. I feel like I look really short. I'm sitting on the floor. Ugh, my legs are so dead. Anyway. Okay. How do you stop telling your story? You literally just drop it. The same way you would drop a pen. You just stop telling it. Just stop saying it. Acknowledge that you're making it up and it doesn't mean anything. That's it. It's simple. Please do not overcomplicate it. Okay. Thanks, Surfing Nomad. Thanks for checking out my lives and my ebooks. I appreciate that. When you attach stories, you start to suffer. Exactly, 25 AC. All right. The 3 people I'm intrigued. It's 3 purposes, not 3 people. Everyone serves one or more of the purposes. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. The Renaissance Redhead. Do you just keep a job you don't like for basic needs, but appreciate it until you're led? Yes. So that's a good question. One of the things that people think we're saying when we talk about like taking, when we talk about going to work to go to work and not going to work for a paycheck is, so you think I should just quit my job? The answer to that is no, but you'll find that when you start going to work to experience the job you have instead of going to work to get a paycheck, that's when you can start taking your emotional investment out of the job, because it's not for a paycheck, it's just an experience. And when you do that, when you remove your emotional energy, you'll find that new opportunities pop up out of nowhere really fast. So yes, to answer your question, you keep the job, you remove your emotional response to it, and a new opportunity will come up a lot faster than you think. In fact, don't even have any expectations about what it is or how fast it'll come up. It'll just come up, I promise you, because you're creating it. Okay. Menina, but people do things that you don't expect them to. Do you disagree? People do things you don't expect them to. Is that really true, though? The thing is, you create the people in your experience. And everything and everyone you interact with is for the experience. So your expectations inform your perceptions of other people and of other experiences. In other words, expectations are stories and stories are limitations, right? So when you drop the stories, you stop expecting people to behave a certain way. You stop telling stories about how people might behave. Then essentially the people who would do something that you don't appreciate or something you don't like or something you think you wouldn't expect fall away because you're not perceiving them in that way anymore. Yeah. The only thing that you really need to keep in mind when it comes to how people behave is that expectations are limitations. And you create your entire experience, including all the people in it. All right. What does it mean if a guy friend zones you to work on themselves? It doesn't mean anything. That's another mistake people make a lot when they're working on phase 1 and transitioning into phase 2 is adding meaning. It doesn't mean anything. Nothing means anything. It just is what it is. It's just an experience. There's no meaning. Somebody asked a question about, oh, there it is. The housewife and mommy mentor. I think that was what it said. Boop, 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 boop. How does this work for illness and taking medication? All right. Before I talk about this, I would just like to say that I'm not someone who struggles with chronic illness or disability. However, my fiance Andre is. So I'm not speaking from a completely uninformed perspective. What I can say is that I've seen what Andre has gone through, and that is what I'm referencing in response to your question. So when it comes to illness and taking medication, those things are your creation just as much as anything else. And again, it's an experience. It doesn't mean anything about you. Again, people make this mistake. They get sick, they go through some accident, or they get some kind of disability, and they think it means something about them. They start adding all this meaning. Oh, it's because of X, Y, and Z. Like, oh, this happened because of my genetics, or because of the mold, or because of the toxins, or because of the food I eat, the government, like all sorts of shit. And it's confusing. But the alternative to adding all that meaning and all the stories is just saying, this is an experience, and I'm going to remove my emotional response from it. I'm going to stop telling the stories, and I'm going to stop responding to it emotionally. And it just happens. With that in mind, I can't say exactly what will change for you if you do those two things, removing the stories and removing the emotional response to what you're going through. But I can say that that is you taking responsibility for what you're creating, and therefore allowing yourself to have a different experience. Does that make sense? Okay. Did I create my childhood too? Yes, you did. I know it's hard for some people to accept, especially when people had really severe trauma and things like that. But again, you're limitless beings. We are all limitless beings who come to have a limited human experience. That is like the fundamental piece of information. And I don't think I've talked about it enough on this particular live. The reason we create these horrible experiences that we go through is because as limitless beings, as like literal fractals of consciousness, we are limitless again. So something that limitless beings don't normally or don't actually get to experience in their limitlessness is limitation. Those are mutually exclusive. So we've created the human experience as sort of like a game to come and experience what it's like to have all of these experiences from a limited perspective. Is that a hard pill to swallow? Yeah, I guess it can be if you're still living under a victim mindset, if you're still acting like a victim. But if you realize that everything you experienced was because it was just for the sake of the experience from a limitless creator perspective, it's a little bit easier to accept. Yeah. Oh, you're welcome, Fitness by MJ. I'm so glad you checked it out. Thank you. I appreciate it. Now that I take responsibility, my energy has been so great. Same. It's actually crazy. Like, I used to be a very negative, very pessimistic person, and taking responsibility for my life has changed that so much. Because, like, why would I be overly negative if I also know that I'm creating my experience, right? It's kind of like being a victim gives you this sense of permission to be really negative. But when you're not a victim and when you know you're creating your experience, you're not going to be negative. Like, you're going to avoid that shit, right? Anyway, I'm going to hop off in a little bit. Doing it for the experience. Why I feel what I want is here. How can I stop trying to figure things out and allow myself? You're overcomplicating it, Fun Studio. You just stop. Just drop the pen. Just stop. This isn't for me to figure out. This is something that will just unfold when I allow it to. Just say it. Just feel it. Say it. Your problem could be that you're emotionally attached to or emotionally interested in the experience of figuring things out, and that's fine. Just know that you're creating yourself feeling like you need to figure it out. All right. In QC, swag, in QC it states, when you stop searching for something, that's when it appears. How does that happen? Okay. Like literally, or I'm not sure I understand your question. Perhaps you've had this experience before where you're like looking for your keys or something and you're kind of like frantic. You're like, oh fuck, where are my keys? Where are my keys? And then you accept like, okay, all right, it's all right. I'll find my keys. They're here somewhere. They're here somewhere. And when you say that, usually that's when you find them. Or someone calls you and they say, hey, I have your keys. Or you just go about your business and you find them somewhere else later on. When you just allow it to happen, when you stop chasing it and you just allow it, that's when it happens. That's all it is. It's that simple. All right. Don't tell stories about what you do want. Casey Lynn, it's a very good question, and it's very important that you get this. Listen, pay attention. Everyone who's wondering about like stories and things, don't tell stories about anything. Instead of replacing the stories about what you don't want with stories about what you do want, just don't tell stories. That's it. It's that simple. Don't drop a limiting story and replace it with an affirmation or like a unlimiting story, because there's no such thing as an unlimiting story. That's like an oxymoron. When you stop telling stories and you just allow something to happen, you're no longer trying to control the experience. And when you stop trying to control the experience, it works out for you in the best possible way. That's one of my favorite things about phase 2. You don't need to know exactly what you want. You don't have to know what you want at all. But if you just allow it and you don't tell the stories, the perfect thing for you will just fall into your lap. It's happened to me like so many times. I'll go shopping for something. I'll be like, you know what? I kind of feel like getting a new pair of slippers. Like this happened to me not too long ago. I feel like getting a new pair of slippers. Like I have no idea what slippers I want, or if I want like socks or like footy pajamas or whatever it is. I don't know, but I'm sure I'll just find the right thing. Wouldn't you know, I walk into this random store on a whim and they have these slippers there, and I just bought them without thinking. And when I got home, they were like perfect. I love them so much. I was just wearing them. I don't know where I put them, but yeah, you don't have to know what you want. And because you don't have to know what you want, that kind of gets you out of telling stories about it. You just allow it to happen. Will this be on YouTube? Yes, this will be on YouTube. I'm now, like, for the month of January, I'm doing lives every Wednesday at like 4 Mountain Time, which is 3 Pacific Time, I think. Hi, Marlon. Okay, 25 AC, a little direct, but how did Andre have the patience to wait till you grasped all of this? That's a phenomenal question, and the answer is I have no fucking idea. I'm shifting my weight again because my ankle is like dead. Okay. Honestly, 25 AC, I have no idea. We went through so much. For like 3 years, I resisted everything he tried to teach me, and it was really hard, but when I finally accepted it, our relationship improved like tenfold overnight. So I think he just knew what was possible. I think he really just wanted to stick it out because he knew that it could be really great. And the other part of that, from my perspective, was that he knew that me being the person I am would be the right person, or at least a really good person, to help him expand on phase 2 with my like social media and everything. So that's my perspective. All right, y'all. I'm leaving in a minute. When I take the medication, no story, no emotions, not even new story, like I'm healthy, change. When I take the medicine, no story, no emotions, not even a new story, like yes, that's exactly right. Housewife and mommy mentor. That's exactly right. Take the medication to experience taking the medication. It means nothing else other than, oh, I get to see what it's like to take this medication. That's it. You're not taking it to heal. You're not taking it to fix your symptoms. You're not taking it to get over whatever illness you have. You're just taking it to take it. And when you take the medication to take the medication, it doesn't mean anything, right? And when you have that experience, when you allow it to just be like that, anything can happen. Anything can change. So yeah. Did I tell anybody? Does anyone here like not know about Andre? Andre is mostly blind. I know he's completely blind in his left eye and has partial vision in his right. He also walks with a cane and has severe light sensitivity, and he lost his vision at age 25, I think. So yeah, he's also had a share of illnesses and things. So yeah, as people always ask him this question, they're like, if you create your entire experience, why don't you fix your blindness? And he says, because I don't feel like fixing my blindness. I actually appreciate the experience of being blind because it's allowed me to see the world from a perspective, or see my experience from a perspective that most people don't get to have. He's a really interesting person if you haven't met him. He's the kind of person who can just look at you and know everything about you. It's uncanny. It's really weird, but that can be attributed in part to the fact that he can't see what you look like. So he's relying on how he hears what you say. So a lot can be kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? There's a lot of information that can be passed along in your words through your tone and the words you choose to say that gives away a lot of information about you, more so than what you just verbally say. So that's kind of the background to that. He created the experience. Yes, he did. He did. Dinesh James. Will you have a retreat in the future? That sounds fun. I don't think we've thought about it, but yeah, that would be a really fun thing to do. What we're probably going to end up doing is live in-person networking events, because we have the Quantum Networking book, which is about how to network. And we've done some networking events before on Zoom that were like so fun, really fun, because they're not about business or work. They're about like people and asking really interesting questions and getting to know people for who they are as human beings instead of what they do and what they can offer. So yeah, I mean, that thing alone will take over the fucking world. Yeah. Yeah. Retreat. How did he create the experience of being blind? Like what actually happened to him, or how did he create it? So I'm not him. I think he can probably answer this question better than me. Obviously, I'm not him. But what I think happened was his consciousness, which is the same consciousness as yours. Everyone has the same consciousness. We're just different like iterations of it. His consciousness wanted him to have the experience of being able to see the world differently, like I was just describing. But that came through blindness. And now a lot of people would be like, my fucking life is over. I am disabled, I'm disadvantaged, etc., etc. But he knew better than that. And he took that experience and he turned it into something that he now like really appreciates, So you got to remember this. Like, this is it's a good question, and it's a very important thing to know. It's not the limited human version of you that's creating your life. It's the unlimited version of you that still exists. That's your intuition, your connection to your consciousness. The human you in this little body is not creating your life. Like, you could get hit by a truck and taken out tomorrow. You're very limited. But yes, what you need to understand is there's a grander, a bigger, a more unlimited version of you that has a bird's eye view of your life and can see everything unfolding and facilitates the unfolding. That kind of helps a little bit. So if something happens to you and you're like, what the fuck? I am a victim of this. No, it's just that there's a bigger part of you, an unlimited part of you that has a different plan or has a different idea of what this experience is for you. Yes, your higher self. Some people would call it your higher self. Exactly. He helps people visually see when he speaks. Exactly. Yeah, Nectar House. Thanks, Pac-Man. Can we appreciate ourselves just by sitting and giving? Yes, exactly, Happy Lotus. That is a fantastic way to appreciate yourself. Just sit there and let yourself be happy. Like, when was the last time you ever did that? When I first did that, I just sat there in a chair and I was just like, I'm going to let myself be happy. It hit me. I was like, I've never done this before. Never before in my life have I allowed myself to feel happy. I just became happy at random times and then it ended pretty quickly. But I've never sat here and allowed myself to just be happy and okay with everything that's happening, So that's self-appreciation. All right, guys. I'm gonna hop off. I'm so sorry if I missed any questions. You can always go to my Instagram account and comment on one of my recent posts, preferably my most recent one, because that's the one that I'm gonna get the notifications for mostly, and I will do my best to respond. So if I missed anyone's question on this live stream, so sorry. There were a lot of questions, but you can always go to my Instagram and comment there. Don't send me a DM because I get lots of those and I might not respond. I may respond later on, but I'll respond much more quickly if you leave a comment. So thank you so much for hanging out, everyone. I appreciate you. And I love you. You guys are so awesome. Thank you, Anna Aquarius. I appreciate that. That's sweet. Yeah, my pleasure, Christopher. Yeah, thanks for hanging out. Again, just to let everyone know, there's a sale tonight. It goes on until noon tomorrow. It's 20% off everything. And again, the code is YAY, Y-A-Y 24. Y-A-Y 24. YAY 24. That's 20% off everything tonight until tomorrow noon only. So enjoy that. Get whatever you want. We have a great event on this Friday about the 0 Point Experience, which you can read about on my Instagram. And I'll see you all later, all right? I'll see you all later. Oh, if you lost your books, send me an email and I'll send them to you again. Yay! My email is missmoneyworking, like my username, missmoneyworking@gmail.com. And you can access all my books and everything through the link in my bio, okay? My pleasure, everyone. Bye!